Is the new Q3 worth it? We're showcasing the 2025 Audi Q3 45 TFSI Quattro in Navarre Blue Metallic over black interior. This year they dropped the 40. You only get the 45 engine, which is the more powerful engine. You have 21 horsepower more than the Volkswagen Tiguan. Exterior gets highlighted with updates, and the same thing with the interior, plus a new black optic package, which we're showcasing. But is all of this going to be enough to make it worth it? In the front, full LED headlights and daytime runnings that go into the hexagonal single frame grille. We have all the gloss black elements, even the Audi badging, because we have the black optic package, which also blackens out the lower air vents, the roof rails, the side skirt, and the fenders flare out. So it's going to look more athletic. 6.7 inches of clearance. House underneath the hood has a 2.0 liter 4-cylinder TFSI turbocharged, producing 228 horsepower and 251 pound-feet of torque, paired to an 8-speed Tiptronic automatic transmission, reaching 60 at 7.1 seconds. It's going to be the slower variant compared to BMW and Mercedes. But the payload, you get over 1,100 pounds. It's actually better than the new X1. Towing 1,500 pounds, so it's the least in class compared to BMW and Mercedes. And because we have the black optic package, it's not just styling on the front or the side, but you also get these 19-inch multi-spoke alloy wheels. And that achieves 20 mpgs for the city, 28 mpgs for the highway. Standard Quattro system, which is your all-wheel drive. I like the styling elements, standard S-line for 2025, and there's only 2 trims to choose from. So it makes it a little bit easier, especially when you're considering adding options, because when you go into the Premium Plus, you only really have to tick the box to like 1 or 2 features and you get it fully loaded. So when you're thinking about pricing compared to BMW, Mercedes, this slots in as a better variant. Going against Volkswagen, which is its brother, I guess you could say, it's about a second quicker in the 0 to 60, and you get nearly 50 cubic feet of storage out of Audi's smallest SUV. So I appreciate that they're giving us that. The rear gets LED tail lights, and you get the glossy black for the Audi O-rings. The badging, the lower, looks aggressive. You got the diffuser, but Audi did say this year they're not gonna have fake exhaust. And you know, look what they did. Fake exhaust. Come on, Audi. Don't do this to me. I had a vehicle that's near 50 grand because we had to add a few options. I get it, it's not going to be that performance driven, but give us the real exhaust that you have said that you were going to give us. But going back to the question, is it worth it? The luxury that you're capturing, you get the more powerful variant, opposed to the 40 that we got last year, we now get the 45. So I would say yes. You have over 1,100 pounds payload, so even filling up the cabin with 5 occupants going over inclines, which people ask in the comments, is it usually a problem? With that type of payload, you shouldn't have any issues with this vehicle. It should just drive seamless. It's not going to be performance driven. You would want to look at BMW or Mercedes. And once you start going into like a $50,000, $60,000 price, you open up a lot of opportunities to different vehicles, which can be a con in this perspective, because Audi, all they really need to do is give an actual sport trim, not a sport line. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, which way you would go. Power liftgate going into 23.7 cubic feet of storage. It does sit up a little bit, and you got these little plastic things that you can pick up with a 12 volt, just going to kind of give you a little nook here on the side. You got another one here. Underneath the floor, you get a spare tire. You can also adjust this downwards. Now, this can also be pulled out, but the adjustment down is actually pretty convenient. But you'll still have to go to the back in order to get that max of 48 cubic feet by pulling the tab here, and it's gonna split at a 60-40 split or a 40-20-40 split to maximize the cargo capacity. The key fob to the Q3. And I like how it's easy to just do that little razor for the key. The convenience package adds that alarm. And new this year, you're gonna have the embossing S because of the S line. Contrast stitch, it's leatherette. You can option leather seats. It's gonna be an extra premium. 12-way power seat adjustment, manual cushion extensions, memory for the driver. And that convenience package is going to go further. You get an auto dimming rear view mirror with the home link. LED interior lights, auto folding side view mirrors, they're heated, and a wireless charging pad. Now the Premium Plus will add that standard as well as ambient lighting that has 30 different color configuration. It is a driver focused setup. My knees, they're gonna sit up in the air, but Manual cushion extensions does help a little bit. The MMI touchscreen is still more towards the driver, so I kind of wish that this was a little bit more flat, making it easier, because even the climate control, I mean, luckily we have our own knobs here. With 6 speakers standard, let's fire it up. The 10.1, you can add navigation to it, as well as a 360-degree reverse camera when you go into the Premium Plus. Wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming, Bluetooth audio. Put it into reverse, and you get a reverse camera with trajectory. It expands out. You also have the front and rear parking sensors here, but like I say on all the Audi reviews, I wish this was just a whole reverse camera if you're going to do it that way. Dual climate control settings is standard, and I like that we have physical knobs, so you don't have to do everything through the MMI. Now the driver mode select, you can click it here, or you can have the physical button here. You have dynamic mode and an individual mode, which you can tailor for the driving and steering, which ultimately I would just probably leave it in comfort. Dynamic, it's going to give a little bit more pep. 2 USB-C ports. And you have an area here for the key fob with a 12 volt. This is pushed back, but you know, you could slide it forward. There's a little area here for another phone if you don't option the convenience package. This opens up, it's a smaller storage pocket, and the steering wheel is multi-function. No flat bottom, paddle shifts, and the gauge cluster is a 10.1 Audi virtual cockpit that can go through an array of different content for the driver. And you can option a 12.3 digital gauge cluster as well. The glossy black is going to surround, and this is also new, this carbon inlays. Headroom, more than enough, with a large panel moonroof that goes to the back seat. Leg space, it's not cramped, but it's still going to be a little bit more tight. Door panel and dash configuring together nicely. For the price point, I like the touch to feel, even though it's a little bit harder material, so everyday plastics. But at this price, that's pretty much normal. One touch up and down for all the windows. It's going to be sporty where you need it to be a little bit more soft. Contrast stitch, you can get that in red. You got a smaller storage pocket, but it's a larger opening, and a little area here that you can put some snacks for the driver. For the back seat, this is the opening that you have. The door is going to have the same segment that's found in the front, so you get that satin aluminum. It's going to be hard, and a smaller storage pocket, but about the same entrance. You got a little storage pocket here, cup holders with an armrest here, and your climate control, well, you can alter it to make it colder or hotter for the air vents. 2 USB-C ports, that's an option with a 12 volt. Storage behind both of the front seats, it's also carved out for you, and you can adjust these seats so you can move it forward a bit, which now if you look at my headroom, it's not good. And you can recline it back so that way I can actually fit. But leg space is more than enough, and they give you that extra little bit with the carved out areas, which help ultimately if the seat is back, because now your knee can go right into it, but then the passenger next to you, it's going to be a little bit tight. Sharing feet space, the rails are pushed up enough, so you have actually a ton of that. Butt, leg, and shoulder space would not be bad if the seat was pushed up more, and headroom with the seat back, it's actually not bad. But if you look, it's only carved out on the sides. 228 horsepower and 251 pound-feet of torque is 0 to 60 at 7.1 seconds. This is not a performance vehicle, but this is what you could do if you do drive it performance. We're going to also show you how it drives daily. Now you want to slow down here. The steering is very light. It's actually pleasantly light. It could get you into some predicaments though because of it being so light. Actually hugs pretty well for the pricing that you're at. Quattro system is working really well. I could see somebody going faster than they think they're going in this vehicle because it's such a smooth transition. The 8-speed Tiptronic does a great job. The braking is good. Gonna get a little tighter. And the exit. No tire spin. Exhaust doesn't really filter in. Wind noise isn't that bad. 19-inch upgraded wheels. So you have a playful vehicle for your daily use. It's gonna take me to some pros and cons. Starting off with the pros is, you're already noticing, I mean, this thing can do some capabilities. It does feel a little bit where it's shifting more so than my liking, but in this price point, I'm okay with that because I'm not expecting to get something that's so blown out with dynamics. I'm expecting a smooth drive, so you're getting that and it's still playful. So that's definitely a pro. Interior driver focus, that's always a pro for the driver, but it's always a con for the passenger, and especially the way it's designed because of all the buttons, the way everything's laid out, like I showed in the interior. The back seat, you got to option the USB-C ports. I mean, come on. We're already at 46 grand. Now granted, because we've had these packages added, that's why it's there. Otherwise, base price is under $40,000. So you're getting a 4-year warranty with that, opposed to Volkswagen, over a second quicker, over 20 horsepower more. So you have a little bit more capabilities, more luxury inside as well, and you can option leather seats, and it's only a little bit over $1,000. So I like that the features and options are not overpriced. Now we engage it in comfort mode. The seat cushion's good, the suspension itself is not bad. The air does start coming into the cabin, so you're gonna hear a lot of exterior noise as you start getting up to a higher speed going onto the interstate. You're gonna more than likely be hitting 3.5 RPMs everywhere you go. In comfort, it's good, but I would recommend staying more in like auto or dynamic, so that way the RPMs ticked up a little bit more, so you just feel a little bit more lighter. When you're braking, the Tiptronic can feel a little edgy in a sense because it feels like it's trying to change gears and you're hitting the brake at the same time. And even whenever you're accelerating from a stop to go, you can feel it. It's almost like a transition, like a dual clutch automatic transmission, and it's not even that. Maneuverability is good. The width of the vehicle, it doesn't feel overly wide, doesn't feel overly long, and almost 7 inches of clearance, so you have a pretty decent amount there. Turn radius at more or less a stop point, it's gonna be about a lane and apart. Let's rock and roll. Sadly, even if you're not driving it as performance, you're still going to be hitting these higher RPMs. Now I get it, if there's a little bit more traffic, you may not, but because the vehicle isn't the fastest in class, it can make you want to push the throttle a little bit more so. It was a yellow light, it didn't turn red. Going back against competition, BMW with the X1, they did a refresh, they did a lot of improvements. It's actually kind of a sweet spot, but when you start looking at pricing, you're going to be spending right around 50 grand. Here, featured up, 46,000 and change. Mercedes, they do a good job with performance as well. Small vehicle, they give you a little bit more cargo capacity, more towing capabilities, payload is just a touch more, and the 0 to 60 is a few tenths of a second more, but you get less horsepower with Mercedes opposed to this. So again, there's gonna be pros and cons in that category, but what I like about this particular vehicle is what you're getting as a total package, meaning pricing, style, and luxury. What I dislike, no third row option, no ventilated seat option, no heated rear seat option. I understand this is the smallest SUV Audi makes, but don't give me a 360-degree reverse camera thing. Don't give me a black optic package that's gonna give me these big 19-inch wheels and the gloss black aesthetics on the exterior. And don't give me all of this harder materials everywhere, but then you're giving me leather seats. And if you're not that tall, you have to move the center armrest up more so in order to make it work, which you'll end up losing a cup holder. And that being said, you do have a lot less storage capacity than pretty much all the competition. but I do like that we have physical switches. I just wish that they kind of cleaned it up so it looks a little bit more fresh, like this carbon inlays that they have put for this year. But is it worth it? To me it is, but let me know which way you would go in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, membership, live stream, TikTok, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like, and I'd like to thank Audi of Wesley Chapel for giving us this 2025 Audi Q3 for our car review.